This is Arif Halaby on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Save for Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby along with Jeff Gerard. Every week at this time, look, talking about your family's finances, trying to make it fun a little bit, trying to make it so that you pay attention to that bottom line, because how many times do we wake up in the morning and we look around and we say, you know, life is good if only I made a few more dollars, or, hey, this would be nice, I could redo the house or buy a new car, right? Everything kind of centers around money. So making sure you manage your money right, making sure you budget, of course, appropriately, but also when a time comes for retirement, and that's really what we specialize in, is helping you with your retirement accounts, kind of start moving money into safer places. If you have already accumulated a significant amount of money, I don't care if it's $10,000 or $500,000 or $5 million, for each person it's a little different, but when you've reached that level and you said, no, I don't want to lose this money. I'm okay taking a risk over here, but over here I'd like to keep this money safe if the market goes down. Those are the dollars that we can help you with. And over time, you're going to want to maybe build up more into the safer side of your equation, if you will, and less in the risky side, because the market will go down, right? We understand that. The market is not something that always goes straight up and certainly doesn't always go straight down. The goal is for you to not have to worry about sleeping at night. And so that's what it's all about here at Total Financial Solutions, Save for Money Hour. You're going to get to retirement. And when you do, what happens with Social Security? What are some of the tips and tricks that people have created over the years to make it so Social Security can work in your benefit? So we're going to get into some of that a little bit as we continue with this hour. But we also want to touch on some of the ways that you can improve your income. Now, Jeff, for a lot of our clients, Social Security is a big part of their retirement life.
It certainly is. And by default or by design, you're going to be receiving those payments. But believe it or not, there is I guess maybe not a right or a wrong way, but there's a good way and then an even better way to optimize your Social Security benefits. And what I mean by that is, some people think, oh, as soon as I'm eligible, I want to flip the switch. I want to start taking those payments. I may work in retirement. Okay, hold on, hit the brakes. You have to have a plan. It's not just a matter of I'm eligible, let me get my money, because I want to get as much as I can before I die.
And look, a lot of it is you're going to be married or have a spouse. I want to give you some tips and tricks with that. First of all, remember, you have to be married for at least a year for your spouse to receive your benefits. It isn't something that just happens because you're married. Your spouse has to be a legal resident of the United States. Now, it doesn't have to be a citizen, but have the legal right to be here. Okay, so that's a big part of it. What's the other part? You have to make sure that your spouse is somebody who reaches their age. It could be age 62, it could be age 65. It depends on when you want to turn it on. But there are some ways as we move forward for you to ensure that your spouse can receive the money when they reach that retirement age. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, Jeff, is people forget that in the equation of retirement, that it isn't just the working spouse that receives money. The stay-at-home spouse could receive their money as well.
Well, that's a great point you bring up, because part of this is if you have a non-working spouse who's at least the age of 62, which means they're eligible for Social Security benefits in general, they have what's called a spousal benefit. Now, what normally needs to happen is the working spouse would activate their Social Security benefits and then suspend it. And then that gives the spouse the opportunity to take their spousal benefit. And then really the question is, does it make more sense to turn on their direct benefits because they've worked perhaps all their life, or they have enough credits in the system that it makes sense for them to take their individual benefits? Or sometimes they make out like a bandit just taking the spousal benefit without having put in that credit over the quotas that you have to have accumulated.
Okay, so think of it like this. As you go through retirement, you're going to have multiple sources of income. And we always say that I think is a better idea. I remember meeting with a gentleman who worked for Caltrans, and he had worked there for decades. I think it was over 30 years. And he was still a young man in his early 50s. And he said, at a particular age, I can't remember, I think it was age 55 or something, I can retire and my pension is this number. And it was a huge number. I said, great. Have you been saving in your 457 or deferred compensation plan there as well? He says, no, I didn't do any of that. I said, well, have you put money over here in retirement accounts, individual retirement accounts? He said, no, I haven't done that. I go, well, you've got to have rental properties or business, or what have you done with the extra? You know what? We've lived a very nice life. Wonderful, that's good. So what about retirement? If you're going to retire at 55, what is your objective? He says, well, my pension is, I think he said it was $8,000 a month. Quite a lot, right?
Wow.
Your gas taxes at work, your car registration fees at work. You pay, folks, you pay for these people to have wonderful pensions. I'm good with that if they're clients. If not, I'm a taxpayer. I'm like, oh. But that's what happens, right? So he says, I think it was around $8,000 a month. I said, what if inflation comes? What if Caltrans says, hey, listen, we're going to have to redo things. Either that or we go out of business. You know, what are we going to do? Well, the state of California, you're counting on politicians who have almost zero accountability because it's all one political party that runs the state of California. You know, it's all one political ideological group. So it doesn't matter if another group says we want to do something. There's one, two, or three people that run the whole legislative agenda. There's one or two or three people. They're all Democrats. They're all liberal Democrats for that matter. Like them or not, I don't care what city or state you're in. If you never have another opposing view that you can talk with and debate, then we never seem to do things right. You can go to some conservative parts in the South or in the Midwest. Same thing. If it's all one political view, you're going to run into some problems. So here's the issue. The state of California has issues with its budget. Is that a surprise to anybody?
Yeah, shocker.
I don't know what's going to happen to your pension, your CalSTRS, CalPARS, CalPERS, whatever. I don't know. Nobody knows. I love it when people say, oh, you never, we always, you. Really? Look at the city of Stockton, Mammoth Lakes, San Bernardino, Detroit, the state of Rhode Island, numerous cities across the United States, the country of Iceland. I mean, can you understand, you guys, that there are countries and cities and counties that can go out of business? In other words, they file bankruptcy and they start over. So all of the contracts that they negotiated, United Airlines, folks, if you were the dream job as a United Airlines pilot of a 747, that person, that's it. That's the job of a dream of a commercial pilot, is to get to, at this point, maybe it's American Airlines, maybe United, but that job. But you have to retire back then at age 60. I think it's older today, but age 60. And this gentleman retired, and after 2 years, he receives a notice of a 60% pay cut. Folks, you have a limit on how old you can be to be a commercial pilot, right? They retire you at age 60 back then. So what do you do? Oh, I guess tough luck. My pension was $10,000 a month. Now it's $4,000 a month. Hey, $4,000 is a heck of a lot of money, but not if you plan on living another 20 or 30 years. This Caltrans guy that was making $8,000 a month at age 55, do you realize he's going to live probably 30 more years? Do you really think the state of California is going to index that for inflation? Real inflation? I don't know. Do you really think the state of California is going to take that pension of $8,000 a month and in 30 years have that 2.5 times? They're going to pay somebody $20,000 a month? That's pretty significant, you guys. I don't want you to ever count on, I don't care if it's the police department, the city of whatever, Beverly Hills, or water and power, always have multiple sources of income. When we come back, we're going to touch on the Social Security part of that because you might think it's irrelevant, but maybe not. It might help you when we come back. I'm Arif Halaby along with Jeff Gerard, and you're listening to Total Financial Solutions Save for Money Hour. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the show, Total Financial Solutions Save for Money Hour. Okay, I want to give you some tips and tricks about Social Security. My name is Arif Halaby, Total Financial Solutions CEO and President. We're talking about what is it going to take for you and your family when it comes time to retire. What are some of the things that happen? Okay, here. In Social Security, I'll give you a little bit of history. Back in the mid-'90s, when Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton said, hey, we're going to balance the budget, right? Both political parties. And they took money from Social Security, replaced it with IOUs, and used that money to, quote, balance the budget. Well, it's basically like refinancing your house, paying off your student loans, credit cards, your car payment, your boat, your RV, and then say, see, we're debt-free. No, it went from there over to the house. So it's nice that they say we were debt-free. It's interesting that both parties will ride that wagon, but they really weren't. They just shifted and put bonds into the Social Security world. All that to say is Social Security doesn't have a bucket of cash waiting to pay you earning interest. It has a bucket of IOUs that the government has to go out, and now today we're at 17, 18 trillion dollars in debt. Those dollars that we have, let me give you some perspective. I know people say trillion, you might as well say bazillion. right? I don't know how many zeros because a
Yeah.
billion is, but think of it like this. If you take from George Washington and add up to the beginning of George Bush's presidency, or in this case, it would be, the end of Bill Clinton's 8 years. If you added up all the money we spent, Revolutionary War, we still had some debt. Some we didn't pay back to France because they changed their government. We said we didn't owe them, but we still owed some. But add up all the money we spent. War of 1812, they burned down the White House, right? The British came, burned down the White House. Civil War, you're going to have, millions, billions of dollars between all the World War I, World War II, the Korea, Vietnam, Gulf War I, Gulf War II, all the crazy stuff with big missiles, right? In the Kennedy and Nixon administration, those huge missiles that were the size of buildings, all those dollars, you add them up. And in the first 3 years of President Obama, 2 years were Democratic Congress, 1 year was a Republican Congress. The first 3 years we spent more money. Okay, you add up all that money, and we spent more in the first 3 years. Now you can say, I don't care who you blame. It almost kind of doesn't matter right now because it does have to be paid back. So I think they're going to put pressure on your retirement dollars. Totally my feeling, my opinion, take it or leave it, it's up to you. But I think when the government looks left and right and they're trying to figure out where the money's going to come from, it's probably going to come from your retirement dollars. Since there's a big bucket of your money for baby boomers, right? There's 70 million plus of you, and you're chugging along through retirement. Well, you're going to get to a point called unearned income. What is unearned income? Unearned income is money that you get in pensions. You receive it from pulling out of your retirement accounts. Maybe if you have rental property or investments. Those things are called unearned income. Those dollars come to you, and when they do, believe it or not, it's not taxed as ordinary, it's not considered ordinary income. So I think they're going to give a special tax on that. In fact, they've already started, right? This 3.8% Obamacare is taxing unearned income. And do you ever think taxes go backwards? Do they ever say, oh, we're going to put it less this year? Probably not. So where are these dollars going to go? I think it's going to go to help fund the government. It's going to go to help, pay back the 17, soon to be $18 trillion in debt. That is a lot of money, you guys. We have 2 years left of this president and his policies. We have a new Congress that's coming in with hopefully a different mandate, and hopefully they're going to be more accountable to us as citizens and say, hold off a little bit. Because the longer we wait to balance our budget, the more painful it's going to be for us. You realize that. It's as if you were used to spending $200,000 a year in income, and you had taxes and expenses, but today your income is only $100,000. $100,000 is still a really nice chunk of money, no doubt, but it's not $200,000. So you say, well, I can charge money, I can use my savings account. Well, eventually, there's a point in time when you're spending more and it just gets way over your head and you're like, now what am I going to do? Okay, so these dollars have to be paid back. Now, next step for you is this. I want you to sit down and go, in retirement, Social Security is going to be a part of my income. And there's a little trick you can do to help increase your income, especially if you're on the backside of trying to make enough money. Jeff, what is some of that about retirement age?
Well, we touched a little bit on it before the break, which is when we have two spouses looking to optimize their Social Security income, one of the ways, and look, a lot of people are privy to this trick now. This used to be something that was not heard of, and now it's gaining more and more traction. Well, isn't it a surprise that when we start to find out some of these, you can call them loopholes or tips or these little optimizing things you can do, the government says, oh, too many people know about it, we need to change it. Kind of like, and I'm going to digress for a second, but this was brought up recently, the Roth program, ROTH, the way that you can save money in a retirement plan and pull it out tax-free in retirement down the road, isn't it a surprise that now that's the next on the chopping block? Who knows what's going to happen? What's the fate of that? So look, folks, what we're telling you is while we have these rules in place or these options for you in place, take advantage of them as soon as you can, because we don't know what's on the ballot in 5, 10, or 20 years. And who knows if that means that you're already in retirement, you're already counting on these programs to do that thing that you planned on 10 or 15 years ago, and then that goes away. Who knows?
Yeah.
But in the Social Security world, what you want to do is take a look at, not just, like we said, at the minute you turn 62 and 10 seconds, flipping that switch on. There's a strategy behind getting as much money as you possibly can out of that. So just to recap on that, if you have one working spouse, let's see, two spouses that are at least age 62 and over, what you can do is have the higher of the two, the higher earner of the two, typically is what you do, is you have them file and you suspend that. And what that means is they just flip on their Social Security switch. I'm on the radar now, but don't pay me any benefits. And then your spouse can come in, and then they take their spousal benefit. Not the money that they've put into the system by working and paying payroll tax. This is just their spousal benefit. Sometimes they get a little bit more of a bump in their monthly income. Now, in the meantime, the person that suspended theirs, they can delay that till age 70. And there's a credit that they get every single year. It's right around 8%.
It's incredible. You got 8%
amazing.
pay raise. You're not going to receive an 8% pay raise in your pension. You might get a 3% cap in cost of living. So to have some money that's delayed a little bit in the future might be the right thing to do. But Jeff, as you're saying, guys, you're going to go in, you're going to say, I want to turn on my Social Security. And they go, and it's on. You go, and now I want to shut it off or delay it or pause it.
That's right.
Go, what? Yeah, just pause it. Well, once it's activated, your 62-year-old or older spouse can now start to accept to take money out based on your number, if it's higher. And that's important because if there is a way to increase that number back to you, you're going to want to do it. When would you do that? The strategy is based on a couple of things. When we come back, we'll get into that and see when would you do something like what Jeff and I just talked about and see if that works for you. I'm Arif Halaby, Total Financial Solutions, Save for Money Hour. We'll be right back.